Howdy from wonderful, windy Wyoming. Here to talk a little bit more about more forms. So 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40. He says, let all things be done decently and in order. And that's why we have forms, so that we can keep track of what's going on and make good records, have those records. Sometimes, as I've said before, those can have legal ramifications. So down the road, if something happens, we can always go back to those records, and they help us to keep track of what's happening in our ministry. So today we're going to talk about two more records that we keep, and they're incidents and discipline form. Ours is the same form. It's a combined form, but it covers both of those things. And so if there's some kind of incident that happens in your class, then that needs to be recorded. And then if there's some disciplinary action that's taken. So when we talk about the disciplinary action, we're talking about something that is beyond our normal discipline. So if I say, Johnny, can you please sit down? That doesn't need a form. If I, ask them to behave in some form like that's not a big deal. But if I take away their seat, or if I place them in a corner for a while, I have to have them removed from my class because of behavior, then I would need a disciplinary form. And what that does is it allows me to, one, make a note of what was happening and why we had to have the disciplinary action to begin with. And then there's several things that'll happen with that. We may have to go to parents and have talk with parents about the situation and what we can do there. If there's others involved, we may have to talk to other families. For instance, if somebody throws something across the room and hits somebody in the head, then we'll need to talk to, the other family as well with the child that gets injured. And so it helps us to make sure that we are talking to the right people, that we have the right things in place. It can help us to review our policies and how we're handling class. Why did little Johnny, find the marker to throw? Where was it at? And why wasn't it somewhere why was it somewhere he could get to it? So it helps us to identify issues, helps us to work through those issues, talk to the needed parties, and then gives us the documentation of what happened. And initially, in our ministry, I have another form that gets filled out once I get an incident or disciplinary form that has to do with what leadership did about that. And so this is who we talked to, this is what was said, and this is how we handled it. If this issue arises again, this is how we'll move forward with this. And so we fill that out, and it gets filed with the disciplinary form as well. So it kind of makes a full circle. We make sure the pastor is aware of what's going on so that he's in the know. And so it's just a way to make sure everybody knows what's going on, everybody gets the proper attention for the situation, and that we move forward in a way that is a positive way. And the goal is to minimize those, and if we have issues, to try to figure out how to avoid them in the future. And so that's what the disciplinary form is about. Incidents, anytime something happens, a child leans back in their chair and falls backwards and smacks their head, that needs an incident form. That's something that needs to be noted. Or sometimes, somebody may trip, something may happen in the class. It could be, they got a piece of paper and they got a paper cut on the edge, then we would write down an incident. Hey, this happened, this is what happened, and things like that. And so anytime there's any kind of an incident that's out of the ordinary, once again, we record that. And if we need to have conversations with people, we have those conversations. And people in charge, the Sunday school superintendent, goes through that, and he will make sure that the proper parties were identified and notified, that we had the conversations that we need to have, and that if there's something, let's say, for instance, the kid tripped on an extension cord running across the classroom for a projector. We would address, why is there an extension cord running across the room? How can we not have an extension cord running across the room? How can we address this situation? So it has multiple facets, and so we want to identify problems and fix them. We want to work with individuals and families involved in those incidents and disciplinary incidents to resolve those issues and to come up with good solutions for moving forward. So that's why we have the incidents and disciplinary forms. I know that they're useful, and they're something that we use on a as needed basis, and we do keep track of those forever. There's something that don't throw away, they go in a file in case down the road something were to come up, we can go back and refer to those. And so more about forms. I think I have one more form that we'll talk about, and then maybe we'll be on from the forums. So thanks for listening in, and hope this was a blessing, and we'll see you next time.